Hey, this is Anthony Metivier from magneticmemorymethod.com, and if you want to know why I'm crying, stick around. But the purpose of this video is to actually answer some very specific questions that I get about how to learn and memorize the Psalms of the Bible. And I've actually got two that are kind of related, so I'm going to go through them both. And I really think you're going to get a lot out of this, but we are going to dive deep, so get something to write with. Pause the video. You're going to want to pause the video so you can read these questions in full, because I'm not going to read the entire messages out, but they're really good questions. They're from people who are taking action and are going to get great results when they have these answers in their hands, because they're thinking and they're going to do this. They're going to land it. And the specifics here are about how to learn and memorize the Psalms of the Bible, which is a book that I put out, and I'm really making a deal here out of putting the play audio sample, so you can go and check it out on Audible. And I really want to support the work of the narrator, because he's really good and he did such a great job on this book. And I'd recommend that you also get the Kindle version or the print version, because one of the things that I used to do when I was in university is actually read the book that I was listening to, and this helped so much. And you can put the recording on a faster pace and guides your eyes, but you get so much out of it, and you just press pause and make your notes. And it's a really helpful technique to have both, and it gets more parts of your brain working. It's really profound, really good for your memory, really good for learning things, and I highly recommend it. And it's not just for instructional books, it's also for novels. So I did it with White Teeth with Zadie Smith, and I did it with even Ulysses by James Joyce. And that's a great book to have read, and if you like memory palaces, it's an especially great book to have read. But it is kind of long, and it really helps if you can get a nice audiobook edition of it and read along with it. And your sense of language just explodes. It's beautiful. Okay, so let's dive into this question. First, congratulations, because the person who sent this in is just doing great work already. She says here, I was alarmed and delighted by how easy the system was and how quickly I was able to come up with scenarios for each station and recalling information that was memorized several days later. This is exactly what I would predict for people, because this is not difficult stuff. It's super simple. But the question has to do with, how do you go from memorizing like foreign language vocabulary words one by one word per station, to entire sentences like verses of the Psalms? Now, here's the thing, and the answer is in the question. You definitely want to pinpoint keywords and phrases, but here's something that I'm going to suggest for you that I think is going to make things super clear for you. Here's the thing. When I say, give ear to my words, O Lord, consider my meditation, how many words am I saying? Think about it before that I continue. Really think about how many words that I'm saying. I'm really saying one word. Give ear to my words, O Lord, consider my meditation. I'm not saying give ear to, I'm not putting space between the words. I'm making it phrasal. So when you're using memory techniques, you definitely want to focus on phrases, on the larger keywords. I'm not even sure that there's a proper terminology for this, because sometimes it will not be keywords that you focus on. It will be these incidental operational words like to or my, but often it will just be a larger scope. So all I really need here is, and this is exactly what I had for this, is I had the Buddha pushing books into Jesus's ears. Now, why would this be? It's just because, give ear to my words, O Lord, consider my meditation. Now, I didn't have anything for consider, but if I needed to, one tip for you here is that any word that starts with con, right? Well, con in Latin is really with, right? And then you just have a prisoner. So that is a helpful thing there, but I didn't do that in this particular case because I just sort of got it, right? But that's really all that it is. Now, hearken unto the voice of my cry, my King and my God, for unto thee will I pray. Now, this is a little more complicated, but think, right? What do we think of when we think of hearken? Well, we think of angels, right? So you could just have an angel with a trumpet, and maybe there's a mouth at the end of the trumpet, like I used for voice, and the mouth is crying with tears onto the crown of a king who happens to also be the figure of God on the Sistine Chapel, and that figure is on his knees praying, right? Get images like that going and practice decoding it so it's correctly rendering whatever version, whatever translation of the Psalms that you're looking at, and that's how you do it. It's a case-by-case basis, line by line, and you're going to do really, really well. So congratulations for even asking the question. I think that's just wonderful, and for your results so far. Hope that tip helps you out, and I can't wait to hear back from you with what you're doing further. And let me know if you happen to get the audio or which version of the book, if you have the print and so forth, and send me a drawing of your memory palace, because that is not only something great to do in general, because I might see something, but it is a great way of you taking action and actually, just there's something about doing stuff like that that just adds a level of magic. I've seen it over and over and over again and again and again. On to the next question. This person who also read How to Learn and Memorize the Psalms of the Bible. Again, pause if you want to read this whole email in detail here and read it from the screen. But great choice to get this book. Congratulations for that. And one thing that this person has picked up is something in the book called the telesynoptic memory palace technique. It's quite advanced, and it's really, really beautiful. And this person asking this question has understood it very, very well, as you can see by his description of having picked out 10 colors for the memory palace sequences: aqua blue, chocolate, green, indigo, orange, red. Beautiful choices. And I'm so glad to hear that the primacy effect in the fourth video was an eye-opener for you, and thank you for your kind words at the bottom here about me being generous and approachable and encouraging and accessible. I do my best, and it's due to the thanks I give to the people who are like yourself, who grab one of the books or video courses or whatever you do that is contributing to me being able to do this work. So thank you very much. Now, the thing here is with the telesynoptic technique, really it's the same process. You've got to just work at it line by line. But in this case, you're going to have like blue, and then you're going to use the same blue palace or blue room in a blue palace, because you've got other options I didn't even talk about in the book, and I'm not going to get deep into it here. But you don't necessarily have to have the whole palace blue. You can have each room sequenced through the colors. There's so many options, and in some of my video courses I go into even more of the options that you have. But you're going to essentially want to do the same thing where you've got the blue version nailed, and then you're now going to switch to orange, but instead of the images that you're using, you're going to overlay, you're going to just divide the blue in your mind and now work on the orange version as if it was empty of these images. And you may get ghosting. In fact, you most likely will, but they can be a help. There's a post on my podcast, it's written. I write everything on my podcast, so if you want to go and listen, you can listen to me speak, or you can read. And the reason why I did that is because I got so many emails from deaf people or people who have a hearing issue of some sort or another, and they just said, we really want your information. Can you please make it available? So what I started doing is writing my podcast instead of just speaking, and it's been wildly popular. So the ugly sister effect, I'll have the link for that in the video and in the notes to this video below. You can check it out, and it'll give you a lot of help with dealing with this. And this is fairly advanced stuff, but that's what essentially you're going to want to do. But I'm going to give you a little additional tip here, and that is, first of all, get this down. Make sure that you can do 15 memory palaces as taught in the book. Do the 15 memory palaces and have them operational so that you are able to recall the information from those 15 memory palaces before you get to the telesynoptic memory palace technique. It's really, you got to prove yourself before that you start doing the fancy things. Because if you don't get the basics and the fundamentals, then it's just theory and it's just fantasy to get to these higher levels. But you can get to them, and it just takes practice. It's just passion and practice. There's a post earlier that came out that everybody has been emailing me about. Thank you for that, by the way. And, I'm tagged all over Facebook for it. Thank you also. And basically it's just saying, what's the difference between memory championships people and normal people? And they can't find one. Of course they can't find one. There is no difference except for two things: passion and practice. That's it. And I was responding to one of these posts, and I just said this. It's just passion and practice. That's all it is. And I gave the example of another skill that I have, which is magic tricks. And I'll tell you something. I have hands that are too small for some of the things that I do with cards. They're just too small. And I told a magic mentor that one time. And he said, my friend, passion and practice. And it doesn't matter if your hands are the size of a dime. You can still find a way to get this done if you just have passion and practice. And I've never forgotten that. And I've done some pretty wild magic tricks in some pretty wild situations. And I'll tell you, I make mistakes from time to time. But they're not a big deal. You just move on, right? And some of the mistakes have to do with the size of my hands. But it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. So passion and practice. But make sure you have the fundamentals nailed, because without the fundamentals, I don't know what to say for you other than you can get to crazy places like this in your mind where you've reproduced memory palaces again and again and again, hundreds of times over, and you're able to manage it. However, what I'm going to suggest to you is, instead of blue and orange and yellow and all these different colors, great that you noticed the alphabetization, by the way, but instead of these things, why not imagine just using these memory palaces as described in the book to, with recall rehearsal, get the information into long-term memory. And once that you've got that done, make sure that you are able, without a doubt, to then do just one memory palace twice with a second color. And here's the big tip for you. Instead of taking this blue house and making it orange, make a fantasy street and place the orange version of the house beside it. And then place the yellow version beside that, or whatever comes next in your color sequence. And what that's going to do for you is it's going to help reduce the ugly sister effect. And I think you're really going to appreciate having done that. And it's not in the book because I haven't done the second edition of the book yet. But that's ultimately what did a lot of relief for me in terms of cognitive overwhelm. And also reducing the number of stations to just the corners has been pretty helpful as well in many cases. So, and I don't do it all the time. I mean, everything in memory is a case-by-case basis, memory palace by memory palace. And that's why I encourage people to make as many memory palaces as they can. I kind of want you to think about it like golf. So, the person goes to the golf range and they're going to shoot some golf balls all over the place. Well, they don't go with one and then go back and pick it up and then come back to the tee and swing. No, they go with a bunch and they really massage the skill. And they just put ball after ball after ball after ball. And they get real specific with it. Like real detailed, real specific about how they're placing things. But not just one at a time, but by the bunch, by the handful. And you need that with your memory palaces. So again, if you want to do this kind of stuff, get the fundamentals down, multiply the fundamentals, then go to the telesynoptic memory palace technique, because you're really going to love it. Now, before I go, if you are interested, I would love to let you know about something, because this kind of video that I do, answering questions, giving some tips and pointers, is something that I do all the time in a private area of the Magnetic Memory Method Masterclass that's called the Magnetic Memory Method Mastermind. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into it, but if you have the Masterclass and you don't have the Mastermind, you want to add it, that's possible. But you can only get it if you're a member of the Magnetic Memory Method Masterclass. And by member, that just means that you have access to a members area. But if you buy it, it's yours for life. And it has a number of courses, including memorizing poetry and the vocabulary of any language. And there's all kinds of bells and whistles in there for you that we won't get into right now. But I just want to make people aware of this, that it's available for you. And in the mastermind, you get advanced exercises like the kinds that we're speaking about. You get recordings of coaching sessions. You get some commentaries that I'm adding to this year. You get access to some research. It's very exciting. And a couple other bells and whistles, and also the webinar archive. So there are multiple sessions, really more material like this that is totally private, that goes in depth into the real problems that real people have who are using their memory to do extraordinary things. And we talk it through and we get it done. And it's really a lot of fun. And you really can only get this if you are an owner of the Magnetic Memory Method Masterclass. I've only made a few exceptions for people who have demonstrated that they are already advanced enough that they don't need the Masterclass. So you can certainly apply. But if you're interested in getting into the mastermind, in having that privilege, then join the Magnetic Memory Method Masterclass. And the place to go for that is magneticmemorymethod.com/go. And that's G-O. magneticmemorymethod.com/go. I'd be delighted to welcome you inside, to give you the offer of joining the mastermind for this ongoing training. And it'd just be a lot of fun to have you there. And it enables me to work with you on a more personal level. And otherwise, there's a lot to study in different places, but I want to get you here because it's a very exciting place to be. And one of the things that we are doing right now that I'm just setting up for people is using golf courses as memory palaces, and the ins and outs of that, and some really exciting techniques that are related to the telesynoptic memory palace technique, but they're fairly simple to get started with, and they're a great segue towards something like the telesynoptic memory palace. But they'll be useful in any memory palace that you have in order to multiply the stations that you are able to create. And basically it's using a kind of rule of threes, and just some deeper insights into the use of bridging figures and all kinds of fun stuff. But the masterclass, is something that is a requirement before the mastermind, except for very, very few exceptions. So thank you very, very much for watching this video. Again, if you're interested in the Magnetic Memory Method Masterclass and the option of joining the mastermind, then head on over to magneticmemorymethod.com/go. That's G-O. Thank you for watching, and until we speak again, keep yourself magnetic. Well, I bet you thought I forgot, didn't you? Well, no, I didn't. But if you really want to know why this guy is crying, it's because you're still watching this video and you haven't gone to magneticmemorymethod.com/go. Geo. So look forward to seeing you over there. That link is down in the description, and you can enjoy checking it out. And I look forward to speaking with you very, very soon. And I don't want these tears anymore. Come and join us in the Magnetic Memory Method Masterclass and see about the mastermind, because I think you're really going to love it. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.